Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Huge Season 1. So, Huge was a show that came out on ABC Family back in 2010, and it only lasted for one season. It was created by Winnie Holzman and Savannah Dooley, and is based off of a book that I never knew until now. And the book was created by Sasha Delay or Daly or something like that. And like, yeah, I never knew that was based off of a book. Paley, that's it, Paley. Had to look at my notes and everything. So yeah, I never knew this was based off a book. And so, like I said before, if you ever watched the first episode I review, go watch that. I said, I've never really watched this show except for like one episode back in the day. And I don't know why I watched only one and one only. I don't know if I watched that one and then it got canceled, or I just watched that one and I probably just didn't like it. For the most part, it's a nice show. It's a show that deals with overweight kids going to weight loss camp. And I think I now know why I probably stopped watching it. I think I watched episode 5 because I remember something about like a diary getting lost and then the main girl getting pissed and stuff like that. I remember that very fondly, so that must have been the episode I watched. And I have to say, I think I know why the ratings for this show dipped. Like, at first, they were like 2.53 million viewers on the first night. First 2 nights had up in the 200 millions. But after that, ratings dipped into like the hundreds. And they stayed relative steady, like 1.53, something like that. So people were still watching it, but not as many as had started. And I think the main reason why is probably the writing. Like this show, okay, if you're expecting this show to be about a bunch of kids overweight going to weight loss camp and dealing with the woe is me's of why they're big, why they hate being big, why they struggle with being big, and them trying to lose weight. If you assume the show is about that, you are dead wrong. I was wrong. They do talk about the woe is me's of being big, but it's very rare. In fact, it's just a teenage drama that just happens to be at a camp. And that's really what it's about. It's your typical, like, oh, I used to be friends with you, but then you stopped and now you don't talk to me. The shy girl, the rebel girl, the preppy girl, like the rude girl who dresses like all like provocative and everything. People crushing on people, somebody who's closeted. Like one person likes one person, but that person likes another, and then one person likes like this one person, like everybody likes her. And so it's more like that. It's just a regular teen drama that just happens to have big kids at like a weight loss camp. And it defeats its own theme. Like, yeah, I was expecting regular teenage angst and drama and stuff, but I was also expecting to hear the woe is me's of like them and their size and everything. So the writing is its own worst enemy because it deviates from what the theme of the show is about and stuff. And that's like a real bummer. I think if they would have kept to that and kept it very dramatic, it would have lasted like multiple seasons and stuff. Also, one little nitpick is the camera work. I said this before, when you watch this show, the filming of it, it looks like you're in a reality show and stuff, but without the diary room sessions. And it's kind of like a doc comedy or whatever you call them, a dockery or whatever you call them. Like you're expecting somebody to go sit down on the couch and just starts talking to the audience and look into the camera, but it don't do that. But the way it's filmed, it feels like that. Like it really feels like a reality show. And it's weird. The woe is me. And also another problem with the writing is, okay, other than stereotypical characters, now it does know how to set up drama and emotion, but it doesn't know where to go after that. Like once it sets up something that's very interesting, it just completely like leaves it off screen, and we don't understand why this person is the way it is. Like take Wilhelmina, she never played basketball. She doesn't like the idea of playing basketball. Why? Don't know why. They never explain it. And when she is about to explain why she doesn't like, basketball, it cuts to a completely different scene. And then when it cuts back to her, and now she's overcome her fears of playing basketball, and then she starts playing basketball. Well, what was her fear of playing basketball? Don't know. Then there's one kid, like Alistair, I think his name is. So it's like, okay, he's like super, super, super flamboyant. And so you assume he's gay, but it doesn't make any like reference to that until you get towards the end of the series. And it's like, really? You took that long to explain that he's gay? And not only did it took that long to explain that he's gay, it also took so long to explain that he's Chloe's twin sibling and everything. Like you get a hint they're related because of something she said very early on in the second episode, but you don't really pay much attention because they only like bring it up like for a second. So you're like, wait, are they related? Are they not? And then it turns out, oh yeah, not only are they brother and sister, but they're twins on top of that. And then we find out that she's embarrassed by him, doesn't tell people about him. And it's kind of like, well, that would have been a whole lot better to find out early on in the season. So then when we see Chloe and why she acts the nasty way she does, this will explain a little bit more, but the show doesn't do that. Also with Alistair, starting with the second episode, his big whole main story arc is that he stinks. I'm thinking to myself, okay, the dude's closeted, no, and like he's like super gay and everything, but it's like that's the episode plot that is revolving around him. He stinks, so it turns out he doesn't shower that much. Well, why exactly? Well, we find out at the end of the episode, kinda. Actually, you know what? We don't find out. He says he doesn't like taking a shower, or something about he doesn't like let people think like look at him, something like that. I think. I'm not 100% sure. Why? Cause it cuts from no, yeah, that's right. When the dude asks, hey, why don't you like the shower and everything? The counselor dude, it cuts from the explanation, then it goes to a completely different scene. And when it cuts back, we see the counselor and Alistair. He's like, okay, look, man, this is what we're going to do every night. When the kids are off doing something, you're then gonna take a shower and I'm gonna stand guard out here and make sure nobody goes into like the shower and stuff. He said he doesn't have no privacy in the shower. And so that's what the counselor's gonna do. He's just gonna watch guard as the dude shower, make sure nobody goes in there. And he's like, promise you will never tell nobody what I told you. Like, I promise and everything, right? Well, what did he tell him? Because it does that crap a lot. Like, it really, really does that crap. It will just, they don't, it's like they don't, they know how to set up emotion, but they don't know how to write it. And they know how to set up drama, but they don't know how to write it that goes forward with it and stuff. And that happens a lot. Like, Becca, she's super shy. Well, why is she super shy? Don't know. And then it's like, Becca used to be best friends with Chloe back in the day, last summer. But then all of a sudden, Chloe lost like a little weight. And then she started like dressing very sexy. And then she just completely left what's her name. And then so you think it's gonna linger onto that? Not really and stuff. Then there's Amber. Like, is she preppy? Is she not? Is she sweet? Is she not? Is she rude and nasty? Is she not? Is she judgmental? Is she embarrassed? Don't know, because she's all of those things, and they can't make up their mind with her. And then there is Wilhelmina herself, the main character of the show. She is the most unlikable main character of a show I've ever seen that aired on TV. The only time I ever seen a character like that was a show I reviewed a year or two ago called I Love You More, where that show only had a pilot, but it never went to like air and stuff. And it was on Amazon, and that was a very unlikable main character. And Wilhelmina is like the worst. She's like the rebel girl who always tries to find conflict with people. She even has blue streaks in her hair to show that she's the outcast. She's the weird girl. But why is she so mean? Why is she like a little off-putting? She's rude to literally everybody. And like there's one scene where they have to go camping in the woods, right? And her and Amber are like lost in the woods and they can't find their way back because Amber had to go like pee and stuff. And so Wilhelmina, she's like, okay, like Amber's like, okay, I have a compass. And Wilhelmina just gets pissed, takes the compass and tosses it in the woods. And she's all like, why did you do that? See, she got pissed because this one character gave Amber his compass when Amber broke hers. Now that dude used to like Amber, but now he likes Wilhelmina, and Wilhelmina likes him back. So she got so mad and jealous, she threw the compass. Now they're super lost in the woods, and she's just bickering and arguing and everything. Talking about, we'll just retrace our steps. But then they get even more lost. Then they end up on the highway and they go to like a diner. And this is where the writing gets even more dumb. There's a waitress in the diner. She's the only one left. She's cleaning up. The phone is out of order. They don't know the number to the camp. Then the waitress is all like, we're closed, girls, and puts them outside. So now they're trapped near the diner, don't know where they're at. And so you think the waitress lady will either give her their her cell phone or give them a ride back to camp, but no, they just stand there next to the trash dumpster. And then we see Wilhelmina so hungry she's contemplating eating a donut out of the trash dumpster. They have a more argument, so she waits there, and Amber decides I'm just gonna retrace my steps and head back into the woods and everything. And so then they have the struggle of her wanting to eat the donut, but she doesn't. And so it's kind of like, um, okay, she's having some struggles. She's having some woe is me's with her weight. But why? And everything. This would be a great opportunity to capitalize on that and explain why some big people, will be willing to do something like that. But they don't explain why. And then other like examples like that I'll get into. Now, with this being about a teen drama and kids, overweight kids at weight camp trying to lose weight, you would assume the biggest woe is me's will come from the teenagers themselves, right? Right? No. Who has the biggest woe is me's on the show? The lady that runs the place, who's skinny and everything, Dorothy Rand. And it's like, she has so much drama on the show, and it's not even funny. Now, in the book, Wilhelmina does exist, but she's completely different. The book is the show is loosely based off the book. Now, there's another main character named April in the book, but she never shows up on the show. April in the book is a big girl who wants to lose weight. In the book, Wilhelmina is a big girl who does not want to lose weight and actually wants to gain more weight, and she's wealthy and she's rich. In the show, she's just an average girl, no money, but she loves being big. But she doesn't try to gain the extra weight. She actually tries to lose it. and she says her weight is like her BFF and everything. And her parents forces her to like go there, just like they do in the book. And then so like it's weird. Like you expect to hear the struggles or why. Like this show could have been really, really, really something if they would have actually dived into weight issues. You know what I'm saying? Like why? Like we hear all the time why some people eat and stuff like that, but we never really get to hear it from actual big people. We always hear it like on TV from like skinny people and stuff. And it would have been nice to hear because all the kids in the show are all overweight. And so it would have been nice to hear their real struggles. And they could have incorporated that into the show, you know? Like, why do they eat when they're depressed? Why do they pile their plates up so much? What causes them to have anxiety? What causes them to not want to be around other people, not want to play sports? What causes them to, and of course they do the stereotypical thing why they do cosplay and like in the woods pretend like they're knights and princesses and stuff like medieval stuff because a lot of big people actually do that, skinny people too, but big people also. But why is that? Why are a lot of big people nerds? Why are like some are like really rude and mean and everything? Like, is it just because they're rude and mean people, or they do that because people picked on them? And of course, when there are bullies in the show, they're your over extreme bullies who making fun of people. Like Wilhelmina walks into she stumbled upon three people, and one of them goes to her school. He's always calling her fat and everything, and she gets there and she gets mad, and there's like two other people there. So then she's all like, you know what, we should fight them. They're like, no, just like let it go. Then when they're in the woods doing like the medieval stuff, the bullies come back with Amber. They assume Amber was just some skinny girl because Amber's also in the books. She's blonde, she's bubbly, and she's slim, but just a little big and everything. And so they assume she's one of them. And then when they make fun of the kids doing the medieval stuff, she doesn't even stand up for them. But then the rest of the group stands up for themselves, but they don't try to like engage like in an argument with those people. Instead, it's Becca, the shy one, talking in medieval terms, talking about leave from here, and she just keeps saying that over and over, and they just get scared and leave. I'm just like, that's how they ended that conflict. So, okay, so the show is trying to say, okay, when you're getting picked on by bullies for calling you fat, you're supposed to dress up in medieval clothes and say, be gone with you. Like, no. Like, actually had them stand up for themselves and talk about how they're normal. And just because they look different don't mean they have to get picked on or at least fight them or something like that. But the show doesn't do that. And so this show is not really a teaching lesson for people who are like big and overweight. Also, with Alistair, like they don't even bring up the fact that he's gay until towards like the last couple of episodes, and there's only 10 episodes, and so you assume he is, but you're not 100% sure, and and stuff like that. And this could have been a great teaching lesson to when it comes to overweight people who are gay, because like a lot of skinny people assume that like if they're overweight and they can't date a skinny person or can't date period, then they turn like LGBT. That is not the case for the most part. About because like when a person is gay, they are literally born gay and stuff, and only about like 5 or 10% of them were straight and then turned the other way because they can't get a date. But that's like a small percentage in everything. And so this would have been a great like topic to like capitalize on and stuff. But they don't even do that. And it's like really interesting and weird. And then when it comes to Chloe, now Chloe used to be friends with Caitlyn. That's the one who was throwing up. I said Poppy in the first review, but it's not. Poppy's the counselor. But Caitlyn, they could have shown her throwing up and showing why she throws up. But they don't do that. They do that off camera, and then she gets kicked out of camp. And with Chloe, she used to be bigger, but now she's a little slimmer. But even though she's slimmer, she still has weight issues. She thinks that Amber looks way better than her and everything. And so she has issues with that. But we hear about that, but we don't really hear like the struggle and everything. You know what I'm saying? It's just her saying that. Or it'll just be her like, oh, I'm hungry. And so like, okay, like explain why you think what's her name looks better than you, even though y'all are around the same weight, but what's her name's a little bit slimmer. And so because of that, Chloe dresses very sexy and provocative. And Chloe had sex with like dudes like last summer, but tells everybody like she's a virgin and stuff. And so, okay, explain why she slept with those dudes in like, the tent type thing and the sleeping bags and stuff. Like, because there are a lot of horny, like big people. Explain why she is. They don't want to do that. They never want to go that extra mile and everything. And so that's like the huge problem with this show. They never want to explain nothing. And if they do it off screen. Like, why is Becca super, super, super shy and everything? They never explain why that is. And Becca is like the extreme shy person. It's like she's just super shy. And it just doesn't make no sense because like it's interesting in episode 2, a girl I think named Danielle comes to fill the spot of Caitlin, and Danielle has super overbearing parents that want to do everything with her. They don't want to leave her and everything. They want to like stay on camp. They all like, well, we'll just stay the first 2 days, make sure she gets adjusted and everything, right? And the mother is the one who helps Wilhelmina plays basketball. And so the girl, she's nice, and she's all like, I know people think I'm weird because my family like super close, but sometimes it is embarrassing and stuff like that. But we're just like super close. When the parents are now forced to leave after being there for about 4 days and stuff, Danielle has a nervous breakdown when her parents leave, and it's like, why? They don't explain why. They just kick her out of camp and she goes back home with her parents and stuff. But why did she have such anxiety once they left? I know they're super close, but what was like the reason for it? Is it because she's big and they look after her, or she feels like safe around them? We don't know why. They never explain why. And that's just like I said before, the hugest problem with this show. So it's kind of like you have these interesting characters, but we don't really know why they are, even in their regular teen angsty drama filled kind of way. And but it would be nice to know why they are the way they are. And the show just never explains that. But if you're gonna have a show that where the theme is that at like weight loss camp, you have to explore that. Like you have to dig deep in that weight loss camp and the struggles and the woe is me's of them and their weight. Because if you don't, then the show is pointless. And that's what the show ended up being. It ended up being pointless because it was just another teen drama. And, the next topic I'm going to talk about that I hate to talk about. Teenagers dating adults. I hate this. It got set up in episode 1 with that of Amber and that of one of the counselor dudes. And he's an adult. She's a teenager. She crushes on him. But then he ends up crushing back to where he acts like he's in love with her. And then when the counselor, Miss Rand lady, was all like, y'all can't sleep in sleeping bags no more because of that one person getting caught having sex, like, before. And so, like, and she's all like, y'all can't even kiss. And he's all like, you can't even kiss? I'm thinking to myself, dude, you shouldn't even be doing anything with them because you're an adult and they're teens. And he's acting like, he can't be away from Amber. Like he really, really wants Amber. All the guys want Amber and stuff. And, and it's like, why the teen dramas always do this? Why they always do the adult and the teen? I hate that crap. I hate it with the passion. Now back to the camera work. they don't go the extra mile or doing the woe is me's, but what they do is really weird and bizarre. The camera is always focuses on people's faces and their hands when they get like when they're explaining something. 'Cause when they explain their weight woe is me's, it's very brief, a couple of seconds at the most. And when they do that, that's when they focus in on their face or they focus on their hand trembling. And every time somebody says their woe is me, they say it super dramatically, like it's the end of the world or something like that. And it's all like this is too much emotion for something you're barely explaining with the sad music and everything, you know? And so, yeah. So this show really misses the mark on what it tries to like accomplish. And it's funny because like when the book, I never read the book, but I went to Amazon to see what people were saying about it. And a lot of people assume that the book is based off the show. No, it's the other way around. And some people complain that like the author of the book don't know how to write characters either. She writes the stereotypical ones just like in the show. The jock, the hot girl, the preppy girl, the outcast, you know, stuff like that. And they say she don't know how to write for like big people. I don't know what she looks like and everything, but like the show does the same thing. The show don't know how to write for big people. The show doesn't know how to fulfill the drama and the emotional woes and everything. And you know, the author should have just wrote like the show because this could have been beneficial to people. It would have helped explain to skinny people why big people are the way they are, and they could have helped big people come to grips with who they were if they want to lose weight. Because not everybody wants to lose weight. Some people love being big. You know, they're human and everything, you know. Big people are beautiful, and society doesn't want people to know that. Society wants you to think that big is like gross, but it is not. You know, like back in the Roman days, the ancient Roman days, being big was the best thing ever because it meant you have money to buy food and eat. And if you were skinny, you was like the outcast. Now it's completely flipped and everything. And you know, they say really fast in this one on the first episode, I gained like well, I lost a bunch of weight. Like I lost like 50 or 80 pounds. And then within a couple of weeks, I gained it all back real fast. Now that does happen. I learned that out on this reality show about people losing weight. Cause they were wanting to know why these folks regained it back. If you are heavy set and you lose a lot of weight super fast within a couple of weeks to a month or whatever, you will gain all that back super fast. I don't know why that is, but it is. It's like your body doesn't know what the world it wants to do and stuff. And they could have explained that more in the show, but they don't and everything. And so the show's biggest problem is just the writing itself. This was an interesting show, don't get me wrong. And this could have been a phenomenal show if they would have wrote it better. Because you don't see this. You don't see shows about big people a lot, like period. You know what I'm saying? And it's quite a shame because when you do see a big person on screen, they're just the comedic relief or the butt of the joke. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, it sucks. But you can't, well, it's about to be, you can't even watch this on streaming no more because it's about to be taken off Hulu in about 9 days or so. And, or depending on when I upload this video, it's 9 days from now. It's November 15th, 2022. And it was out on DVD. There are still copies you can find. It came out a year later on like DVD. So let's get down to some character profiles and everything. I mean, I pretty much explained some already, but it's just like zip through them real fast because this show's literally about to be taken off like, you know, whatchamacallem, Hulu and everything. It might go to another streaming app, but so far it's getting taken off Hulu. And it's been on Hulu for years and stuff. And man, this show came out 12 years ago. Like that's like insane. You know what I'm saying? So let's get down to our main person. Since I've already talked about like Miss Rand and everything, so let's get down to Wilhelmina, our main character. Now, I have stated that in the book she's rich, and I said in my review just now that she's not. She's just a regular girl. Here's the thing: I fell asleep for about 5 minutes in the 10th episode, and then I decided to rewind it back. Indeed, she is rich and everything, but it's never brought up until the 10th episode when her parents gave her that pink outfit in the car. I just assumed they like gave her a card that had like the Eiffel Tower, and I assumed that they just bought her an outfit. I don't know nothing about fashion. But she is indeed rich, and they sent her there, and she hates her parents, and she literally says she hates her parents. She loves being big. She does not want to lose weight. She does keep a stash of like food, and she starts selling this. Caitlin in the first episode till she gets caught. She has a love-hate relationship with Miss Rand, but not really in the way you think. Like, it pops in, it pops out. You assume it'll be for the entire series, but it is not. Her frenemy is Amber. Amber is the blonde girl. She doesn't like her perky personality and everything. Her best friend at camp is Becca, but she's always blowing Becca off, and it pisses Becca off and everything. And then when Becca wanted to do that Renaissance thing, Wilhelmina pretty much just took it over and changed the thing, and everybody else has medieval stuff, and here she is with like a water gun and stuff. And next thing you know, Wilhelmina's diary gets stolen, and Ian decides to read it and stuff, at least the first couple of pages, and then they put in like lost and found. Then she tells Becca. Becca finds it when some of the girls about to start reading it, but Becca fusses the girls out. But then Becca reads it herself, and she feels guilty. And then when she finds out how much Wilhelmina got pissed at Ian for reading it and writing a song about her poem, she decides to never tell Wilhelmina. And I mean, she never tells her. Throughout the entire series, she never tells her and stuff. And so, like, in the last episode, when she keeps talking about you break your, like, promise all the crap, it almost seemed like Becca might have had a crush on that Wilhelmina, but nothing's ever concrete and everything. So, but Wilhelmina herself has a crush on Ian. Ian likes pretty much every girl, but he pretty much just likes Amber. Everybody likes Amber. And so like David Hasselhoff's daughter. So anyway, he keeps bringing up Amber's name, which makes what's the name jealous. And so then she gets pissed at him for a very long time about the whole poem thing. And then he wants to write a song with her. And so she's like, why you want to write a song with me for and everything? But she does have a crush on him, but it's very vague. Like, because he first thought she was a lesbian, which is funny because the actress finally came out. And so, yeah, the actress who plays her has finally came out and getting married and stuff to a woman. And so, like, but that's funny, he thought she was a lesbian. But see, the thing with her and him is that she never tells him that she likes him. She just keeps looking at him and stuff like that in her awkward kind of way. Like, she has this awkward stare. She just stares at people and stuff. And it's like, I've said this before. She is the worst main character I've ever seen. She literally tries to start a fight with like everybody and stuff. And she's always angry because she doesn't want to be there at camp. She's making friends. Like the people there are nice, but she ain't trying to give them like, no time of day and everything. And when she gets mad at people, boy, she gets pissed at people and stuff. And she catches like, Greg, George and Amber like make out, but she doesn't tell nobody. And then so when George is all like, I saw you sneaking out that night. But of course, Amber was with Wilhelmina. And so he kind of threatens her a little bit. And she's all like, you better never talk to me like that again. At least she stood up for herself. And I do like when she stands up for herself. But she's always trying to piss people off. And it's like, I guess, yeah, that's kind of how the book kind of is too a little bit. Like in the book, she doesn't want to be there either. But it's weird because she is technically the main character because April is not in the TV show like she is in the book. So it's kind of like you will try to make her a little nicer, but they don't. She's just, you just don't want to see her on screen because she's so rude to everybody and stuff. And even the girl who's kind of like the hot, rude girl, even she's slightly nicer, just slightly, just slightly, and stuff. But Wilhelmina is just like mean and stuff. So yeah, that's her. Dorothy Rand. And it's like she has so much drama on the show and it's not even funny. Yeah, I am expecting her to have drama, just not this much. You know what I'm saying? She has a lot of character development that sometimes goes somewhere and sometimes it doesn't. She's an interesting character. She's very timid. She stutters when she talks. She's a little jittery and stuff like that. But why is she like that? Why does she stutter? Why is she very like timid and stuff like that? And there's a huge thing going on with the chef that's there. Why? Because it's her father. And she introduces him to everybody as this is our new cook. She doesn't even say that's her dad. We find out in the first episode when Amina runs away and everything. And so, like, there's some woe is me's with them because he left her family when she was 11. And then, next thing you know, he found her or she found him and he talking about how he's down in his dumps. He needs a job. And so she gives him a job there at the camp. And you would expect that he's like this rude, nasty person, but he's actually pretty nice and friendly. In fact, when he sees Wilhelmina playing basketball by herself, because now she has the courage to play it, and she don't know how to shoot, he teaches her how to shoot and everything, and he makes jokes and everything. So he's a terrible person for walking on his family, but like, they portray him as like a nice person. And one of her biggest woe is me's is that she is trying to write her mom an email saying, I found dad, but she doesn't have the courage to do it. She keeps deleting that email. And when she does send an email, she doesn't even mention him. She's the one who sought and found him out. Then we turn out that she used to be overweight and everything. And so you would assume, okay, they will write it to where like she'll be able to relate to the kids a lot more, explain why how she got to be overweight, what caused her to eat, what caused her to lose the weight. But no, they don't go that extra mile. And then like you would assume that her and Wilhelmina would be like budding enemies throughout the entire series because they start off clashing in the first episode. But no, they don't write that extra mile. And that would have been like a typical trope, but it's one we all recognize, and it was set up to be that way. But they don't go there. Then her dad gave her a muffin, and as she's trying to write her mother the email, the muffin's there on the table. And then when she writes the email and can't write it, we see that the muffin has been eaten. She ate it, but we didn't see her eat it. And so it was set up to kind of like, oh, she still has some like, some issues with her weight because she tells him, I don't eat sweets like after dinner, but he gives it to her anyway. He's all like, I use substitute sugar and everything. And I didn't use butter. I used like olive oil and everything. But she still ate it anyway. And so you think she would have some woe is me's about that, but that doesn't happen until a couple of episodes later to episode 4 when she's in like a AA meeting and she's all like, I ate that sweets and I shouldn't eat it and I'm so like I feel terrible about it. But then that's all we hear about it. Because they don't go that extra step and that extra mile. And this is supposed to be a show about weight loss and all this other stuff. And they don't go that extra mile to show the woe is me's of people struggling with their weight and everything. And so, like, then she ends up dating this guy. See what? And it's so weird because, like, okay, there's some bullies on one episode, right, from tennis camp. The tennis camp counselor dude, there's something going on with him and Miss Rand, at least in the past. It's set up, but the way she says it, she's all like, oh, he has a wife and this and that. But when they talk, it's very awkward, indicating they had an affair back in the day. Do they capitalize on that? What do you think? No. It is swept under the rug within a few seconds. And then he wants like one of people to come out with the property line and stuff and determine where it's at. So then she ends up dating the property line dude because he's kind of like, at first she's rude and nasty to him and he takes it, but then he ends up liking her anyway, builds her a fence for like free. And they go on dates and all this and that. And like I said before, she has the most character development in the entire show, but she's not even the overweight teen that's trying to lose weight. But I'm not even joking when I say Dorothy has the most woe is me's and like the most story arcs like in this season. She has multiple story arcs. Like, okay, the guy she's dating and everything, he's a really nice guy, even though she was rude to him. And like it makes you wonder because she used to be heavyset, right? And he's a little heavy set. So it makes you wonder, like, how does she feel dating him? Well, don't know. She's never addressed that, like, when it comes to his actual weight. Because, she's in this weight loss program teaching these kids to lose weight. She used to be heavy set, and now she's dating this guy. But it's kind of like, well, what are her feelings towards him, towards his weight? You know what I'm saying? And she brought him to like an AA meeting talking about how she's an impulsive eater. And like, the conversation of his weight has never really been brought up other than him just joking about it and stuff. And that was just a huge missed opportunity. But not only is he like super nice and stuff, they kiss, they date, and she's really happy. But then she goes back to the married man and she hooks up with him in the car. And it's like, dude, like, why did she do that? It's never explained. And, so what was the point in her even having that storyline? It was just never explained. And then it's back to her and her dad. She sees a Lucy with a heart tattoo on his arm, and she wants to know who Lucy is. I kind of figured the moment I saw that and she got mad about that, it had to have been his new wife. And I had a feeling she would have like a sibling. And she does, a half sibling. And so they finally now explains why he left and everything. They explain it towards the end of the series. And in fact, a lot of stuff happens towards the end of the series, like a lot of woe is me's towards people's weight. And it's almost like, the writers was kind of like, we're on this weight loss show and nobody ever talks about weight. So by the seventh episode, that's when things start to get a little bit more juicier and they start to actually follow the theme of the show. And more weight loss stuff and kids struggles and stuff. The struggles are real, man. And so like it's revealed that when he was teaching these kids how to play poker and stuff, he has a gambling problem so bad that they lost their home when she was 11 and then he left. And so like then he remarried and got a new daughter. His new daughter is 15 and she is a juvenile delinquent and he has to leave camp to go and be with his other daughter. This pisses off Dorothy and she has like a meltdown talking about, I hate you, and everything. But then she wants to know the name of her new sister. And so when he leaves, he left and they didn't even tell her. She's like, you left and walked off on me again. I hate you and stuff like that. But then it's like, not only does that affect her, it affects Will as well. Because she was starting to really like Salty. That's his name, Salty. And so like, and it really sucks because Salty was teaching her how to cook, how to cut vegetables, how to play basketball. So he walked out on both their lives. And it's like, that's when like, I'm saying, man, like she had the most story arcs in the entire series, and she's not even losing weight. And then, so like towards the very end, her and Wilhelmina are talking, and Wilhelmina's all like, "How did it feel when you was big and everything like that?" And Rulo, and she's all like, "I hated myself." She's like, "Well, how do you feel now?" "Well, I don't hate myself no more," and stuff like that. And so now we finally get to know just how she feels and stuff. But it's insane. Like I'm not even joking. By like the seventh episode, this is when all the campers start talking about their weight, and then we get to see why they eat when they're upset and stuff like that. And it's like all the one with me stuff started happening around that time. Because it literally, like, because like the person who created the show is a mother daughter duo. And so they're all like, they're probably like, huh. The network's probably like, well, why aren't they talking about their weight? So they started cramming it in the last couple of episodes and stuff. Oy. Becca. Becca is super shy. We don't know why. It's never explained because this show doesn't like to explain a lot of stuff. She likes Renaissance stuff, but we don't know why. She used to be best friends with that of Chloe, but her and Chloe, for whatever reason, stopped being friends, and Becca does not know why. Becca literally goes the entire season and not doesn't know why until the last episode. Before the last episode, the ninth, she pretended to be the girlfriend of Alistair because he's gay. And then, so in the 10th episode, she finally asked, like, Chloe, yo, why we stop being friends? And Chloe's all like, well, it's not you. It's just like, I wanted to hang out with Caitlyn and her friends and that clique and blah, blah, blah. And she just stopped being her friends. And it's like, dude, you went the entire season and finally asked her that. Other than that, she's a really sweet, timid girl. Sweet, caring sounding voice. She's very, very, very shy and timid. Um, she gets really pissed, like I said, for Wilhelmina, because Wilhelmina's always breaking her promises. Like they're supposed to go into the woods and do this spiritual thing with rooms and stuff like that. And Wilhelmina totally flaked on her. So she does it instead with Ian at one point and then Alistair at another. Ian, this dude has a crush on like every girl that's there, but his main one is that of Amber. And so he's really close with Wilhelmina to where the point where it seems like he might like her, but he doesn't try to like engage. But he's still flocking over like Amber and stuff. And so basically his first story arc, and I'm not even joking, in episode 2, he has to tell Alistair, yo, you stink. Take a shower. Like, that's what they first give this dude. So after all that, they finally, like in towards the 7th episode, because pretty much the entire season, he's just like crushing on what's her name. But then he wants to start playing music and he has a guitar. And so like for talent show, he wants to do like an original song. And he wants to write it with Wilhelmina based off her poem. Well, before that, he just read her poem, didn't know who it was by, and just made a song out of it. Of course, that pissed her off. Then they write like a song together, and then what's his name? Trent, the jock and everything, he wants to start like hanging out with Ian and stuff and jamming out with him. And so at first he's kind of like okay with it, but then he's not. He doesn't really like him because he's a bit of a jerk and stuff. And so then, after that, he pretty much just hangs out, like, a lot with Alistair. He gets pissed when Alistair gets upset because something Dante does. And then basically, when his parents come for the Parents' Day in the last 2 episodes, he loves his parents, but then he finds out that, oh, they're getting a divorce. So this really upsets him. He gets to the point where he sees some cookies that have been hidden and he's going to eat them, but he turns them in. And so, like, he literally sees his dad pick up Amber's mom by, like, the butt. Oh, boy. And so pretty much when Amber gets really upset because her crush is talking to a skinny girl and everything, runs off. He follows. They talk, and I think he tells her, he had a huge crush since like day one. And then all of a sudden, now Amber starts making out with him. He's so happy. He tells Alistair, but Alistair's a little upset. Why Alistair has a crush on somebody? It's never really revealed who. At times, I think it might have been Trent, but I really think it's actually now Ian because of how he reacted and stuff. Amber is probably one of the slimmest people there, but has a little pudge to her and stuff. And all the guys like want her. She has this bubbly type of voice and it's really sweet and quiet. But you don't know if she's like the preppy mean girl or like what. Because sometimes she come off as preppy mean. Sometimes she come off as sweet. Sometimes she comes off as innocent. But she reveals she's a kleptomaniac and everything. And so like she's been crushing on the counselor dude since day one, which is gross because he's an adult. But then he ended up kissing her and giving her like his sweater and stuff. Turns out George is actually really in love with that of Amber. So they just after like liking each other and looking at each other and flirting and stuff like that, they finally make out in the woods. What in the world is up with teen dramas and teenagers and adults like hooking up, especially on ABC Family? This is now the second show that I've seen on ABC Family where this has happened. I'm sick and tired of them glamorizing pedophilia and everything. It's disgusting, don't you know? And so like they're going at it. And he's all like, "Oh, when did you turn 17?" She's like, "Next year." I'm just like, dude, she's 16 years old. And not to mention 18 is the legal age in America. This is not England, all right? This is not London. This is not Britain. Okay, we don't do no 16-year-olds. This is America, the United States of America at that. It's 18 and it's up and it's 21 to drink. So basically with her, she's sneaking off every morning with him and then they get caught by Wilhelmina. Wilhelmina doesn't say nothing until Amber gets drunk and throws up and then she tells her. She's shocked and everything. When her mom comes to visit, her mom is a complete embarrassment. Like her mom acts like a country hot preppy lady and everything, but a little trashy. Like the type that would probably be like, the type of mom that like skinny, hot, redneckish, but then she turns out to be a stripper. She acts like that. And so this really embarrasses Amber. And Amber's mom is very kooky in the head and a little impulsive. I'm like, where'd you buy that outfit? Because Wilhelmina just gave her sweater, jumpsuit thing, whatever you call that thing, sweats, whatever. And so Wilhelmina lies like, oh, it's Amber's. And so she's like, where'd you get that from? And then she's all like, I want to spend the night with the girls. And Poppy, the counselor, like, that's not allowed. Parents ain't allowed to sleep in the cabin, but she lets her anyway. And she's odd and weird, and she embarrasses the crap out of her daughter. And so then her mom is getting on her nerves so much that's stressing her out. Then when she sees George talks to he starts not hanging out with her for a while because other stuff is coming up, and she gets ditched one morning when they're supposed to make out. So then when she sees him talking to the skinny girl, she just wants to eat. And her mom gave her cookies of all things. She's like, Mom, they're not allowed at camp. This is a weight loss camp. And the mom's like, I don't care. See, Amber saved up the money and went to weight loss camp herself. Her mom did not want her to go. And so like, next thing you know, she wants to eat the cookies, but they've been turned in. So this is why she eats and everything. Drama and stress and stuff from her mom. So we get to see it. But it also would have been nice to like her mention something about it like earlier on. Like they crammed that into the 10th episode. And this is why I say the show writers can't write their own follow up on the themes they make. Like this would have been nice to been addressed earlier and stuff. Chloe, she is similar to that of Amber. They have around the same body size and they're best friends because Caitlyn was throwing up and had to be kicked out. And so like with Chloe, she's kind of like the slim, somewhat big, hot girl. She's really, really hot, but she feels insecure. She don't think she's hot enough. She don't think her butt's big enough, her boobs big enough. And Amber always gets like all the dudes liking her. Like on the first day, some black dude who never showed up again tapped his lap and Amber just sat down in his lap. And this kind of like upsets her because she wants a dude. And so she likes Trent. Trent don't like her. Trent likes Amber, but Amber ain't interested. So he starts dating Chloe, and they date and everything. Now, one interesting thing about her is that Alistair is her twin brother, but she will not tell nobody. And it's kind of like, why? And Alistair's all like, well, I think she's embarrassed by him. And we know Alistair's gay, but we're like, why? Why is she embarrassed or whatever? But she's not embarrassed. It is revealed by like the ninth episode or so. She just wants something of her own. They've done the twin thing forever. And it's kind of like camp was the only thing she had of her own until he wanted to go this year. And so that is why she doesn't tell nobody her big bad secret is she has a twin brother. When people find out because Ms. Rand spilled the beans in about episode 8, she's shocked and almost like embarrassed, and everybody else is shocked too. And everybody's shocked to find out because she never talks to this dude, like never. And he even told Becca, it's not you, it's her. She's changed. And, she's just kind of like, she's the hot girl who doesn't know she's hot, and then she ends up being rude as a result. Now, when Alistair got made fun of by some kids, she was furious and she wanted to like fight these kids, but she didn't follow up on it. After like he got upset and walked away from her group of friends, she tries to talk to him a couple of episodes later, but he doesn't want nothing to do with her no more because it's like, yeah, she got mad and she pushed the one dude, but she won't even have the gall to tell people, yo, this is my brother, and all this other stuff. And so he literally just doesn't have anything to do with her for the rest of the season and stuff. Speaking of which, Alistair, he really doesn't have much of a story arc in this season. He starts off in the second episode stinky. And I've already talked about this. Like, he doesn't want to shower in front of the other guys. But I'm not even joking. It's never explained why. Like, as soon as he's about to explain it, they cut to like another scene. So now he has to sneak and take a shower while George stands guard and everything. But we don't know why. Is it because his weight? Is it because he's gay? Is he afraid he's gonna be stiffened up if he sees the guys and they're gonna make fun of him? Well, this is what happens. He tells Trent, which is what's the name's boyfriend, that they're brother and sister twins. And so because of this, Trent starts to be nice to Alistair now. And so when it's Chloe's birthday, I forgot to mention that when it's her birthday, she doesn't even tell people, yo, that's my brother, my twin, and it's his birthday too. She's celebrating on her own and won't even invite her brother. Like, this is how terrible she is, right? So her group of friends playing like Truth or Dare. They dared Amber and Chloe to kiss, so they do. But then Chloe had to like throw up or something. No, one of them had to like throw up. Amber had to throw up. So Chloe left. So then it's Dante's turn. They're all like, well, you have to kiss a guy. He's like, I ain't kissing no guy. I ain't gay. And they're like, oh, but you have to because you played there. So they're like, oh, I know. You can do Alistair. I think he's gay. And so Trent saw like, nah, Alistair's not even a part of this game. Like, leave him alone. But they do it anyway, and he doesn't like stop them, which pisses off Chloe. She's like, why didn't you stop them and everything? She did not even stop. She even spied with Trent as this was all going on. Didn't even try to stop anything. So when Trent tells the camp, like, hey, it's Alistair's birthday too, they play games with him and stuff like that, and like he's playing with people, and then here comes Dante, and then they're just talking, and then next thing you know, he kisses him out of nowhere, and Dante, not Dante, but Alice is all like, "Look, man, I ain't into you like that." And he's like, "But you're gay, aren't you?" And he's all like, "I don't like labels." And so that could have been something really interesting to go deep dive into about him not liking labels and him just being him and dates who he wants to date and not having to tell who he wants to do. But they don't go there. For 7 episodes, they have him be super flamboyant and very awkward. And they don't even dive into that. They just have him acting as the awkward, flamboyant kid on the show that's there for like comedic relief and stuff. And then they finally get into that. And then when he's all like, dude, it was just a joke. And then all the kids start laughing. And this is when Chloe's all like, y'all shouldn't make fun of him. And he's crying and everything. It was so sad. And it's like, as a result, Dante tried his best to apologize and wrote a note, but Alice was like, I ain't even thinking about you, and and he doesn't want to talk to him, and like your apology is like whatever, dude. And so like he says he has a crush on somebody else, and we see him start cutting his shirt to be more like flamboyant and everything, or whatever you call it. And so, but we don't know who he's crushing on. But like I said, I think it's Ian and stuff. Trent's an interesting character. They could have really dove very deep into him, and they kind of did, but they kind of like I don't know. It's like he was odd, interesting in the second episode when they were playing basketball because he likes sports like a lot, right? He said sports is like his favorite thing to do, but he's too intense and he just starts screaming and shouting at Wilhelmina and everything because she can't play basketball. Then he talks about how like his mom is dead. And so when they have them write letters to their family back home, he actually writes a letter to his dead mom. And it's really interesting. We hear his thoughts as he's writing. He's all like, I love sports. Sports just makes me so happy and everything. And I'm at the happiest when I'm playing sports. And he's all like, I don't know why I'm writing to you, but just writing to you makes me feel happy and stuff. And that was kind of like a cool kind of letter. It's like he's a jerk, but then he has this like nice side to him that stuff like that. Then throughout the rest of the season, he just dates Chloe, but he doesn't want to because he wants Amber, but Amber doesn't want him. So he just goes with the one that does want him, and that's Chloe. And he's really starting to like her and everything. Then it goes from that, and then he wants to start playing the drums in the band with that of Ian, but Ian doesn't really want nothing to do with him. Then something interesting happens. He befriends Alistair, and he starts to show like a really nice side to him. So this is kind of like some cool character development, but it has absolutely nothing to do with his weight. And you think that would be the thing because it's a weight loss show. But then when the parents show up, his dad's all like, hey, which one's your girlfriend? Oh, I bet it's that blonde girl, Amber, right? He doesn't really say nothing. He's annoyed when his father is there. His father's a little pushy, and this is why he probably likes sports. Throughout the entire time his parents are there, like his dad and his stepmom, he doesn't even introduce Chloe as his girlfriend. And she's taken back by that. But she doesn't confront him about it. She just takes it as what it is. Why doesn't she confront him? That could have been a perfect time for some drama, but the writers dropped the ball. And then so they even all go to dinner. It's Alistair and it's Becca pretending to be a couple, is Trent his father and mother, and then Chloe just comes along because she pretended like she just related to Alistair, which she is. And the parents still don't know who his girlfriend is. And then he finally reveals that he's in the band and he starts playing, and his parents like that. Then he goes and he kisses Chloe to his dad's disgust. And it's like, it would have been nice to build more up on that and they could have an argument about that, but the writers dropped the ball. And so, yeah. Then there's Dante. Dante likes Amber. No. He likes Chloe a lot. But Chloe's into Trent. So that really hurts him. And you can see that a lot in the series. Like he gets very jealous and doesn't like want to be around them sometimes. That would have been great to capitalize on and him to explain himself more. But guess you know what the answer to that is. The writers don't. And so like he does end up making out with a girl on like movie night, but that girl has a boyfriend back home, and the girl's all like, "I cheated on my boyfriend." Now the girl only shows up in about 2, 3 episodes. Well, she actually shows up a lot towards the end, but she doesn't really say much and stuff. In fact, she's one of the girls that dares him to kiss Alistair and starts laughing at Alistair and stuff, which was so mean and rude and making fun of that dude for being gay. And it's 2010 at that time, you know? So that was very unheard of. But that's pretty much Dante's entire story arc. Like they didn't even know nobody knew his name until like the ninth episode or something. When it comes to counselors, there's really not much to say about them. Poppy is like the gooberish one of the group. She's like so super sweet, super nice, super jolly and everything. Always wants to sing. She has a huge bottle of alcohol underneath her bed. Amber ends up stealing half of it and pours water into it, and it's never addressed. And that's really the only story arc she has and stuff. Shay, she's the really rude drill instructor. She's the one who helps them exercise. Shay, throughout the entire series, just shouts and screams at the kid. She shouts at Dante so much he almost cries and everything, because Dante likes to goof around. Because he goofs around, he's upset, and so when he gets jealous and stuff, he starts goofing around. This pisses off Shay, and she literally just drills into him to the point where it's so awkward she doesn't even get in trouble for that. And she's all like, "I only shout because I care." And then she doesn't like Salty in his food, and she wants to get him fired till she finds out that that's what's her name's father. But she still wants him replaced. Then it turns out her daughter has meningitis, and that's what they crammed in for her, just to make her a little sympathetic. Salty, of course, is the father, the neglectful father of Dorothy and everything. Left when she was 11, doesn't even know what her real hair looks like, because she always wore it in a ponytail at first until she let it down. He's like, "Oh, that's what your hair looks like." Now I was very confused when they was father and daughter. I'm all like, because at this time I didn't know Gina Torres was half black, half Cuban. And so I'm like, "Well, she's black and he looks white. How's that her father?" But I think he might be Hispanic or something like that. Because she's very adamant now about wanting her parents to be played by like both races and stuff. Because she's getting tired of being represented only as black. And so he didn't even know what her real hair looked like. They rarely talk on the show. He mostly talks to the other kids, and his catchphrase is "no seconds." Like, because they don't like no second helping the food and stuff. And so some of the other campers think he's kind of weird, but he helps the kids out a lot. And he really bonded with Wilhelmina, which is weird because she normally hates everybody except for him. And so, of course, like I said before, he left and went to go be with the rest of his family. And apparently, she found him and he contacted her, talking about like, "Oh, I need a job and this and that." So she gave him a job. They have an odd relationship. Then there's George, a 20-something-year-old man who's in love with a 16-year-old, and that's it. One thing I am curious about is, if this show was made today, how would it be perceived? Because think about it. Nowadays, we preach body positivity and no body shaming. Many people who are larger are celebrities, and they are like really popular, and they promote body positivity and stuff. So I do wonder how this show would be perceived if it's talking about weight loss, and many people are all about, you should just be happy with who you are. And body shaming is a big thing. Like many celebrities are still getting body shamed to this day. Lizzo, Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill does not want nobody talking about his weight. If you bring it up in an interview, he will dismiss it right then and there. And it's probably because of all the emotional turmoil he had to go through being big growing up and stuff. People are bullies. People are rude and stuff. And then it does make you wonder, about certain celebrities who do gain weight, say through pregnancy or whatever, or they just big for the sake of being big and they be famous because of that. There are several celebrities, like, who started their career off being big and being very popular and being very famous. Then when they made it big, next thing you know, they say, oh yeah, I like my body and everything. But then down the line, you see them slimming down and being really thin. And it's kind of like, well, I thought you said you liked your body. And then there's this one singer who was really popular back in the 90s. She gained weight when she got pregnant. And people noticed and made fun of her. And she said she likes her curves, she likes her body. But then next thing you know, she's been slimming down. So do you really not like it, apparently? Same thing with this one dancer who's been on a couple of reality shows. She was slim when she first started this one reality show. Then when she stopped doing reality shows, she started gaining weight. People started saying stuff about her and she's all like, oh, I like my curves, this and that. But then next thing you know, she is now slimming down. So it does beg to differ, because it's kind of like, also like Ashley Graham. She started her career out being big, being in that I think swimsuit model or whatever. She became very popular. Next thing you know, she is now slimming down, gained weight from being pregnant, slimming down again. Same with like Adele. And it really does, it does make you wonder. These people, for whatever reason, just don't like their size because they either want to be healthy or they getting made fun of. And this is what was really hard about making this video. It's kind of like I didn't want this to seem like it's coming off as like judgmental or nothing like that, because people have different views on weight and if they should keep it or not. And like I've always said before, you be who you want to be and you be happy. Big is beautiful, skinny is beautiful, everybody is beautiful. But if you do have health concerns, then you might want to adjust your lifestyle and, make yourself healthier and stuff, because you only got one life to live and everything. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.